evening, everyone. Good evening. It is Saturday night, 7:30. Or just before 8. I'm not watching The Masked Singer, which is why I'm in the office, because everybody else wants to watch that, and it's not really my thing. Please don't judge me. So I'm going to have a look at the major commodities. Obviously, don't forget, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so I hope you're going to spoil your significant other. Also, I'm just trying out a different format. I'm not always going to do it like this, but I wanted to try this. What I'm really doing here is a bit of a pulling back from price action and looking at it from a distance to get a sense of what that flow of price action is. So I'm looking at gold here. Now, if I just quickly bring on my key levels, gold has been largely sideways, not really clear or not indicating clearly what it wants to do. Still sideways. What I'm really looking for is a break below 1800, below the previous low, to go bearish or to start to look for shorting opportunities, or alternatively a break above these recent highs sitting towards 1875, looking to see price back up above 1900 and then looking to go bullish again. And of course, I'll still keep an eye on price as it approaches 1950. So there's not much clarity here. It is still range bound, and therefore in the longer term, I'm still bullish on gold in the longer run, meaning that over the next year, for example, or at least certainly within 2021. But I also, at the same time, it is certainly going through a consolidation. If that is going to be the case, it's not in a rush to head any higher. So I'm not actively trading it because it isn't really clear on its direction. As I said, I'll start looking for long opportunities once we start to break outside of the top of the range. And otherwise, I'll start looking for shorter opportunities if it breaks to the downside. Not seeing a lot of clarity there. Silver is slightly different. So aside from the fact that the price action is starting to produce higher highs, if I just remove the lines here, the flow of price is a little bit more bullish. 30 is going to represent some technical resistance for it. It's looking more bullish than bearish. And if I look here on the daily, we've started to produce high lows and higher highs for the most part. We've got a nice little bullish candle on Friday, a nice little swing low there. So certainly it's going to attempt to make a run here again towards 28, call it 28, and then potentially onwards towards 30. Actually, when I say 28, I should say 27. Let's call it, see resistance there at 27, yeah, towards 28. Okay, but it is certainly flowing to the upside, just not in a very clear, easy fashion. Then moving on to copper. So copper, you could see here looking a lot more bullish. Really nice little bullish candle here. It's not ridiculously overextended on the weekly, so there's still room for it to go. It may actually want to head up towards 4 here and 4.0, and certainly looking a little bit more bullish here. It's come back, it's retested the previous highs, so this looks like it is in a much better position to head higher, and certainly looks more bullish than bearish. Moving on to platinum. Platinum in a very similar scenario. It's had a really fantastic week last week. It's also finished off with a nice bullish candle on the moving averages, indicating that it wants to head up towards 1300. So that makes sense. That's a little bit more bullish than bearish. Palladium here, just looking at this weekly time frame, it certainly is range bound, as we know from previous chart layouts that I've had, between 2.2 and 2.5. And again, this looks like it wants to push up towards 2.5. And I really want to see it at some point break outside of that and above that and continue onwards towards 2.8 and 2.9. So initially, or at least this week, looking to see it attempt to just push higher. But in terms of tradable opportunities for traders, I don't really like the look of it at all. Then moving on to crude oils. So looking at it here, the only thing that I really wanted to mention is that price is now heading into significant previous support or support resistance, or a significant price level, if you want to call it that. The price action on the daily looking nice and bullish, nice little bullish candle, bullish engulfing candle to finish off, and then nice bullish weekly behavior here as well. If I bring on the horizontal levels, it's certainly just about a run into a monthly significant level, as well as a nice round number at 60. So that could, and actually in ordinary circumstances, would present a clear and present danger to price action, if we're going to put it that way. And so that is something that I am prepared for, but it does look in every other respect nice and bullish. Okay, same thing, really moving on to Brent crude. It looks really good here. Problem is that's a solid bullish engulfing bar, a little bit overextended or heading towards the top of its channel, so to speak. But mainly my real concern is what's going to happen here with this level of support. Is that a potential issue? Otherwise, I'm liking the idea, or the strong possibility, that crude oil is going to continue higher, that it actually might be able to break its way up above that. Moving on to light crude, also same story. Heading into 60 here, price action very similar. Is more supporting the idea that it wants to, if it can get past this level, if this offers no resistance, if it's merely just historical support at this point in time, then it makes sense. There could actually be some good potential entry opportunities if price manages to break through, come back and test that level for support, and then potentially produce some nice bullish price action. Might be a nice buy opportunity. Moving on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin obviously getting a lot of love these days. Suddenly has got its 15 minutes of mainstream fame. That's good for it. It's going to start bumping its head up here against 49.50k. All right, fine. It's got a nice, all of this in isolation looking really nice. Doesn't look that bad. The monthly, of course, is sort of heading towards parabolic, almost certainly bubble territory. And this time bubble territory, completely unlike the previous first time round, which is kind of terrifying in its own way. But at the same point, there's clearly a nice strong support at 30,000 if it does do a correction at some point. Otherwise, in isolation, that weekly looks really good. Daily starting to stumble a bit around that 50,000 area. Ethereum, by comparison, a lot more healthy, heading up towards 2,000. So that would be the in terms of for Ethereum's purposes. And I should actually start adding on a few of the others now as well, start throwing in a few of the other cryptos. I'll put a few into this for next week. But certainly looking a little bit towards the top of its channel on the weekly. So 2000 may represent a bit of an issue. This year, for the first time in a long time, price has gone further than I would have expected it to, which to me signals bubble, historical bubble kind of behavior, because it just doesn't seem to be slowing down. In fact, it seems to be pushing well beyond even previous extreme limits and just going even further than that. So at this point, I'm not really willing to call stuff until I see something really unusual happen, because right now unusual is the normal, is the new normal. So it makes sense to me that it can go towards 2000. We'll see if it can make it past that or not. Previously, I would have said, yeah, I think that's going to present a problem. Nowadays, it's better to just say, okay, let's see what happens with that, because it could continue up. All right, especially with continued stimulus. There's plenty of cash going around, and so markets have got this tequila in the punch bowl is the expression I would use. There's a lot of extra juice in the markets. The question is when is it going to run out, and how's it going to happen? How's it going to look? Okay, so that's me on digital commodities and other commodities. Certainly, I think that there is a possibility for opportunities this week. I like, as I said, gold. I just keep an eye out, watch from a distance, and silver, potentially some buys, and then looking at crude oils and potentially some of those cryptos for opportunities there. There are other commodities that are still looking good as well, but focusing on these ones for now. Again, I do think there may well be some buy opportunities. On most of them, they are generally all more bullish than bearish. Have a good week.